Hi, my name is Brooke Lippman.
And I'm Dr. Deb Lippman.
And this is Wine Together,
a podcast where we drink some wine and have a chat.
So sit back, relax, and get that corkscrew ready. Cheers. Look at that picture.
Other than, really interesting. We're not drinking wine today. Again.
Yeah.
I know last week we started out summertime without drinking wine. Also, today we're drinking, Brooke's got a Guinness. And I have an alcohol-free beer at our local built. It's actually what a lot of locals here call a panache. So it's like a mixture of beer and lemonade. And so this is an alcohol-free panache. Built's is the one that. So we'll have more about that on our Instagram post. Mm-hmm. But today we want to talk about fashion. Mm-hmm. This is my beach fashion. I am headed there in a few weeks. So, that's why I'm, dressed as I am. But I'm not a fashionista. I'm not really good with fashion. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, I'm going to be shedding this, right now. Yeah. And go back to my norm. Because, I'm not... I don't normally... I can't pull that off. I remember... Okay, I've got a fashion story for you. When we first moved here, our neighbors next door, they're not the same neighbors.
Yeah.
But our neighbors next door, we've got great neighbors next door, by the way. And the ones before were great also. They wanted to come over and introduce themselves. And it was funny, we'd been here, I don't know, maybe 2 days.
Okay.
Not long at all, because they left. I think they were in fact, their anniversary's coming up. I think July 4th maybe is their anniversary. I don't remember. Very early July is their anniversary. But anyway, they were leaving to get married. And so she had told her fiance, she said, I really want to meet them before we leave, because they were going to be gone, a little while. And so they knocked on the door. And we answered the door, and we told him that we didn't speak German yet, and that, we knew a little bit, but that it was really just, not good. I won't say the word because Brooke will beep it out. Anyway, the first thing he did is he turned to his fiance and said, it's an Apple Watch. And I was like, I had read that about Swiss people. They look at your watch. They look to see what kind of watch you're wearing when they first meet you. And so I did not meet the fashion standards of a good Swiss woman. Because I wear an Apple Watch. Mm-hmm. But, it serves dual purpose. Well, more than dual. It serves many purposes for me. Mm-hmm. And I do buy the extra bands, so I am kind of nerdy that way, fashion nerdy that way. I'll buy the extra bands and change my bands out. But it serves so many purposes. It keeps me accountable for my exercise, and it kind of helps with my mental health, and getting those badges and rewards. That kind of helps me. So that's my thing. But other than that, I'm not a fashionista. What do you think you are as far as your fashion?
I think I've been getting more into fashion kind of lately. Mm-hmm. 'Cause I didn't used to be like all that, but I don't know. I think it's kind of fun because I like to make up like outfits with like what I have and see like what I can do to fit with kind of like more modern trends, but I also like I don't necessarily go out of the way to wear like the same kinds of things that what you see like everyone else wearing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I like to have like my own kind of fashion.
And I can respect that because, you know, when I was younger, much younger, I set my own style. I just didn't. A lot of it was money, but it was also a way for me to, you know, kind of be me and just you know I never wore the same earrings. I would never wear a pair of earrings, and so that kind of makes me think of when you were in, I think maybe first grade. I know I tell this story too much about you. But you were in first grade and we were always, I mean, because you were the baby of five, four living at the house most of the time, but because your older brother was 16 when you were born, so by the time you're, you know, in first grade, you're what, 7 years old? So, you know, he's, what, 23 at that time. So you were, yeah, in fact, he was married and his wife was pregnant. So we were getting you ready for school, always in a rush for school. School was, getting you guys ready for school was always something. Anyway, because Mason was in high school, that became, it just seems like, you know, again, kleine Kinder, kleine Sorgen, große Kinder, große Sorgen. High schoolers are pretty kind of, you know, especially getting them ready for school is not always the, it's not always a battle you want to choose. But anyway, you were in first grade, so I threw you a pair of socks because I was in a hurry. Get your socks and shoes on. And you were like, oh my God, they match. The excitement in your voice. And it really made me feel so many different emotions. One was guilt. And I felt absolutely terrible that, is this the first time you've ever gone to school in matching socks? Maybe. Because I don't know if you remember the sock basket.
Well, I used to like never wear matching socks, so
I know, and I
like,
think
I remember
I feel kind of bad because
because like I never wanted to wear matching socks.
You were excited that one day though.
Yeah.
And that made me.
But kids are like weird like that.
Yeah, and so it was just so funny. But I can remember as you were started getting older, like when you were in college. You drove me crazy because you would put pattern on pattern. And I grew up with I was taught you don't put pattern on pattern. If you're going to have a pattern on top, you put a solid on
but
bottom.
I make it look good.
Pattern on bottom,
you
put, you know,
you can't say that I don't make it work. I always make it work.
Okay. Again, I'm glad you think
like that the pink floral blazer with the checkered dress pants. That does look good. I know you think it's crazy, but it does.
Yeah, unfortunately,
it's the lightness of the pink with the darkness.
Well, I do that part. That part side of it. Yeah. Yes, you're right. That part of it looks really good, but
I'm pretty good with putting.
But I can't unlearn that. So, do you remember? Okay, so we live close to one of the fashion cities. One of the biggest fashion cities in the world. Milano. We live close to Milan, and so I've been at least 4 times in the 6 years of it. So I got to catch up. I got to go at least twice this year, so I can say I technically have been here. And then I just got to keep it up. Go once a year.
Exactly. We gotta go. We gotta go to Fashion Week sometime.
One year,
I would love to get
agree.
Into like fashion somehow.
Just because it's just not my thing. But I'll never forget the first time we went to Milan. I was so frustrated. Do you remember this one? So many things happened. So many things. But one of the very first things that happened, because we came in at the train station, and what a beautiful train station. I mean, it's like an art museum. So we come into the train station, and we're trying to find our way around, because this was our first time in Milan. We only had that one day. We had to come back that night. And so there was this lady trying to push 2 big pieces of luggage in 4-inch heels. And my first thought to her was, duh. You really thought you could do this on escalators?
Some people can do it.
Anyway, she was struggling, not able to do it. So anyway, we get away from her, and you said, you really shouldn't do that. This is the fashion capital of the world.
I do not remember
Okay,
saying that.
but you did. And it really, I didn't know, because I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then it changed my perception of the place. And everywhere I looked, I was looking for fashion. Well, that particular year, the velour sweatsuits were kind of coming back for that. And so it was so funny because I was like, oh, I used to have a couple of those. Darn, why did I get rid of them? I had a couple of Calvin Klein velour sweatsuits because, back in the day when J-Lo made them popular. And but the velour sweatsuits, men in velour sweatsuits with big gold chains, evidently was going to be the thing. We were there in October. Mm-hmm. So it was coming up. Fashion Week was coming up. Mm-hmm. And so within a couple of months. And so I thought, oh my goodness. And everywhere we looked, I saw the big gold chains. And I thought, oh my gosh. I never wanted that fashion day to come back. Because, and they were much bigger than the gold chains we wore in the 80s. Yeah. Much bigger. I mean, it was like, I'm just not crazy about that. Mm-hmm. But but we were there and... I don't know if you remember the guy that there was a shoot, this male model that was getting his pictures taken just out on the street. No. And there was not a lot of people blocking us because we were looking for the place where you were going to do your audition in December. So we were there in October. Mm-hmm. Your audition was in December. And so we were looking for the place because we needed to know where we're going to stay, blah, blah, blah. It was going to be a long weekend. Mm-hmm. And, so we were looking for, this, I don't think it was a dance. It was more like a dance studio. Oh, it was a studio. Okay. Yeah. I thought it had, but I guess they had dance store kind of associated with it. But anyway, we're looking for this dance studio and we're walking down the street. So we don't know, we didn't know where we were at. And so we decided to walk instead of taking a bus. And I'm kind of glad we did. But anyway, there was this kind of, I'd call it a fashion shoot, but it's just this one guy and a photographer with his equipment, but no extra lighting, things like that. And so he's sitting we're on a sidewalk, and there happens to be at the corner of the two roads meeting, there happened to be like a handrail, and he was kind of leaning on that. And you were looking at him so hard that you fell into the street.
That did not happen.
Yes, it did. Yes,
that did not happen.
And I told your dad when we got, I said,
that did not happen. I honestly have zero clue what you're talking about. And here's the thing, you have some vivid dreams, so this did not happen.
Okay, if you say so.
Because I would remember that.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But anyway, but it was funny. Then we went back in December. Like I said, you had to go back in December for your audition. Mm-hmm. And we were there. That was our first experience with the European Christmas market. Mm-hmm. And oh my goodness, that Milan really does it up. Yeah. So go to the capital center of the world for Christmas market.
I have to say, the first time, I really started doing fashions and stuff was when I was creating audition outfits. Okay. Especially dance auditions, because you kind of want to create something that's gonna stand out. So I had this bright pink ballet skirt, right? And so I always wear it with a dark purple leotard and either black tights or just tan tights, because it really does stand out.
Well, you did get accepted into that school. Yeah. So, and in fact, that was the weekend you found out about Hofstra. No, we were in Milan.
No, I don't think so. Oh no, it was. You're right. It was the other two schools that were before.
It was. You found out because I tweeted out our daughter just. What a great 25th anniversary gift. Mm-hmm. We're in Milan with our daughter, and she just found out she's.
I know. I should have gone to Hofstra.
At one point, it was your dream school.
I know. I was
and I really tried to convince you to go.
Yeah.
Because I wanted you to go to your dream school, and I thought, well, we'll just figure out the cost. And
Well, Hofstra, I also had the same scholarship that I got for Dean.
yeah.
It was because it wasn't a musical theater major, but honestly, like when I started the musical theater major at Dean, I realized it probably would have been better had I gone to Hofstra because it was a dance major with a minor in musical theater. So that probably would have fit better for me anyway.
Well, I hope you don't have any regrets, but just it had to be your decision. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, it was where I wanted you to go because you said this is my dream school, and I just believed it and held on to that. But we can't. You can't go back, and so there's no sense regretting them. Okay, so as far as talking about fashion, I like accessories.
Okay, me too. Well, I like piercings. So.
Yeah. So I'm not. I don't need. I don't need any more piercings. But yeah, I tend to focus on accessories. One, because, when I was growing up, accessories were cheap. I could buy a pair of earrings for $1, sometimes less when they were on clearance. And so that was my thing. That's what caused me to really get into accessories. And so then as I started working and had my own money, I really got into hats and dresses. And so, and then I got married, and I married someone who does not believe in spending money on excess. So whatever clothes I had going into this marriage, that's the clothes I was going to be in for 25 years or whatever. And so I worked at a store, a clothing store that was kind of an elite. We had customers that made appointments for fittings. Okay. That's the kind of store I worked in. And I would, when the clothes just weren't selling, and it happened to be my size, the lady that owned the store would say, let's see how much we can get you into this for. And she'd give me this, crazy amount discount. And then I had one customer who loved the way that I dressed her for certain events. She'd tell me, okay, I'm going on a cruise. And I've got a great cruise wear. I can help you with this. And so one year for Christmas, she bought me, just almost a whole new wardrobe. Wow. And from that store. And so I had a lot of nice clothes going into when I met your dad. But it was so funny because a lot of them I had just given away. A lot of them to a friend of mine that we were in kind of this church youth group together. She just found out she got a job, and she didn't have, a lot of clothes, didn't have a wardrobe for her new job. And I was like, you know what? Just come shopping in my closet. Whatever you want, I promise you can take. And she took a lot. Okay. I mean, I considered it clearing me out, but obviously it didn't clear out my wardrobe. But yeah, so I was really into it when I was younger. And honestly, I changed that mindset. Yeah, after I got married, very soon after, because your father didn't mind telling me, I don't like that. I don't like it when you dress like that. I don't, so, and I didn't have the nerve. I didn't have the nerve to stand up and say, because I didn't want to be, I grew up thinking, okay, this is the person you chose. You make it work. Yeah. And, a lot of people always say, when you tell them you've been married almost 30 and a half years, people are just like, oh, wow. I was like, you know what? We both have sacrificed a lot. Yeah. To make it to that. It's not like we both, been perfect for each other. We haven't been. But, I don't think I could get back to that as far as that fashion kind of person. I mean, look, I'm wearing a linen dress today. And what did I buy today? Another linen dress.
Well, here's the thing. I am a big believer in if you really like something, a top or something and how it fits, you have every right. I have 3 of these tops.
Absolutely.
I have 3 of these tops in 3 different colors because I love how they fit.
Yep.
They're perfect for the summer because I don't have to wear a bra under them.
And everywhere, anytime I've gone shopping, like for like when I was working for Wake County Public Schools, first of the year, I would go get a couple of new tops. And I would buy one top, but in every color they had. Because if it looked good on me, I was like, okay, I'm just going to get every color. And I think people did kind of make lots of comments about that. And I was like, but I like the way it looks on me. Yeah. So I'm just going to get every color.
It looks good. And, like, if you're willing, because it should be something that you want to rewear. Because fast fashion is so bad for the environment.
It is very bad for the environment.
So, like, if you, so... And I also, like, I find different ways to style all of my stuff. Like, last week when we went to Geneva, I wore this top, and I had shorts, and I had the beret.
Yeah, it was cute. Yeah, that was a good, like, we should have gotten pictures,
We got some pictures, but not...
Yeah, so we'll post, we'll do some TikTok with some of the photos.
I know.
Once I figure out how to get more storage on my phone without paying for it, I've got to get pictures uploaded onto something else.
Yeah.
So, and I will.
Maybe I should do fashion show TikToks.
Oh, that would be kind of fun. That would be kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
I do like styling, so I don't know.
Well, you know, you and I both have a lot of accessories. And I feel like we don't kind of go through them. And it's like I always say, well, I don't have a reason to, right? So, but we've got our birthdays coming up, so maybe we can, maybe we'll get to go out a couple places and do some accessorizing. But right now, like, it is so hot here. People, y'all just don't know. I know y'all know because it's
it's hot. It's everywhere.
Hotter than
it's hot everywhere right now in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah. How? Yeah.
There's a heat wave in Europe and in the U.S. right now. I don't know about Asia. I haven't checked. But if it's in the northern hemisphere, I hear it's hot. I was like looking at Australia and envying them. It's 13 degrees there. Like the high in Australia was 13 degrees.
Yeah, it's winter.
Ever thought you would live in Europe and envy Australia?
No. Well, I don't know. I do kind of like the way they sound when they talk.
Yeah, but they have a lot. Have you seen the spiders?
I don't need to talk.
We think the spiders we've seen here are big.
Oh, yeah. I don't. I loved our house in Roseville. That garage, though, and those dead flame spiders.
And we
Black
had
widows
there, too.
Yeah, I just don't. Why?
But also,
I know they're a part of the ecosystem. I get that, and I try to leave them alone if they're not in my space. I really will leave them alone for the most part. But if they're close enough to crawling in the window, no. I have to have the window open because it's so hot. So
didn't like the one time we got a real Christmas tree, there was a black widow in it.
Yeah.
No. But also, I learned something very sad about scorpions. If you pull their tails off, they constipate themselves to death.
Why would somebody do that to them?
It's so sad.
I mean, like, I don't want to be around
scorpions.
them.
Don't like scorpions, but don't pull their tails off.
Right. I mean,
because it takes them like 8 months to die if they die without pooping. Because that's like really what happens if you pull their tail off. So don't grab them by the tail because they ride around until it pulls off. And then they die in a very grueling, horrible way. So don't
don't do that. I mean,
it won't do anything either because their stinger will keep stinging. I don't know for how long, but it keeps stinging after it pulls off. At least for long enough for them to get away.
Like if it's sitting here and the scorpion's sitting here, this can sting on its own.
I think only for like a little bit, for long enough for them to get away.
But still.
So it's like when you chop a person's head off, they can talk for like 13 seconds?
I didn't know.
Or, well, not talk, but like they can live, their face is
not
moving
completely
for 13
gone.
seconds? Yeah.
Okay. That's, Okay, yeah. I appreciate that we have educated the public on that. I don't need to give you anything more, but I will say this, and I think Brooke is going to agree with me on this. We do not settle our differences with violence. and I know some people kind of take pleasure in violence, whether it's to, the creatures around us or to other people. But that's just not how we settle our differences. And that's going to be our public service announcement. That's it for today. We're going to get back to fashion.
Okay.
But we just want to say that. But, I was sad to see Pride Month go, because I felt like, it's, such a great opportunity for us to say that, talk about fashion. The Pride Parade in Zurich that we went to a couple years ago, fashion. I mean, wow. Everyone was dressed so nice, and I was not. I had my LOB Nike shorts and a tank top.
I had my beer shirt on.
Oh, that's right. You did have your beer shirt on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. But they were giving away, this was so nice. The group that we went with was your dad's company. And they were giving away these great t-shirts. They were a navy blue, and they had the rainbow of the company written in the rainbow colors. And then, whatever their slogan is. But we were not allowed to get one.
No.
Because, and this makes sense, they said the reason they don't let someone who's not an employee, what if that person goes and does something really bad and they're wearing that t-shirt? That, falls back on the company that's on that t-shirt. And I understood. I was very upset when I was told I couldn't get a t-shirt. Because I was told if I go to Pride, yes, they would give me a t-shirt. And then they explained to me why they couldn't give you and me a t-shirt, and I accepted that. And then, wouldn't you know it, a person who works for that company and his partner were there. The partner does not work for the company. The partner insisted on getting a t-shirt, and they gave it to him. And it really angered me.
Don't push it to break the rules. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have. When I got to the point of accepting it and understanding why, I was actually good with that.
Yeah.
But then when others started whining because they couldn't get the t-shirt, I was getting angry.
Just don't be that person, though.
Yeah.
That's not your problem. Because, if people are, whining and complaining, they probably just gave them the shirt because they're like, oh my god, shut up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want to be the person that they're thinking, oh my god, shut up.
But we've got this, talking about fashion. Okay, so you explained to me today what the crayon thing was.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go back and get one.
Okay, yeah. Well, we got to do it tomorrow.
I know. So it's in the section where all the Swiss stuff is. So there are a lot of people are coming to Switzerland right now because the women's, you explain it. The women's yours is football competition.
Trying to get a Football Friday episode out by Friday for that, but I don't know. I told
you
them this morning that we should do it.
Okay, so if you said it this morning, I know nothing about football, but I could wear the makeup, the cool little. I think part of it should be me learning to use the thing on it on this show. So yeah, I'll do it.
Well, it takes
I know, but yeah.
Well, you're not here tomorrow.
Correct. Is that what y'all going to do? Is film it tomorrow?
I don't know.
Anyway, I went. This section is because of the people coming from all over the world to watch these women soccer games or football games. We can say football, I guess. Now we're into that. So they're coming from all over the world to watch these games, and so all the stores have these Swiss sections of Swiss souvenirs.
Yeah.
But one of them is the crayons that kind of are safe for the skin.
Yeah.
To make the red and white.
What I'm sad about is last year they had the Euros section, so different team logo stuff on hats and all that, and they don't have that this year. It's just Swiss stuff.
Okay, because Mason does Mason have a Swiss and an Italy bucket hat? So. I think he's got both bucket hats.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's made me want one of those Swiss bucket hats, but they're corduroy. In the summer, I was like, I love it, but
I've got the England and the Swiss baseball caps.
And one year you got the Italian scarf.
Yeah, that was the World Cup 2019.
World Cup, yeah, and so
was that 2019 Women's World Cup or was it 2021?
It was 2019 Women's World Cup. I'm pretty sure.
Or was it 2021 Men's Euros?
I thought it was the 2019 Women's because. We watched the final game. It was in December, and I'm pretty sure it was December, but maybe it wasn't December.
Because
Maybe it was
2019,
November.
that was the U.S. women's team one, right?
Yes, 2019.
Yeah.
And then last year,
2023, they lost to
Sweden. Was it 2023? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was last year. But anyway, yeah, they lost to Sweden. Okay. Good team. I mean,
Yeah, I mean.
Yes, they lost on kicks at the end. It just, that.
Yeah,
stinks.
now England has to defend their Euros championship this year.
Okay.
And but Spain is killing it. But one of the Spanish players has meningitis right now.
Oh no! Ooh,
yeah.
That's gonna. Ooh, that can.
It's viral meningitis, so I think
the whole team could be sick.
Yeah, but
it doesn't take as long to recover from.
Yeah, than like bacterial meningitis, and bacterial meningitis is worse faster than viral meningitis. So she probably had, I don't know how much time before she had to get to the hospital.
Yeah, because bacterial meningitis.
Yeah, well, you can die from viral meningitis too.
But I hope that she recovers well because, you don't want anybody to get to this stage in their life and something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we had an Olympic Games during COVID. There were lots of tournaments. Well, the men's Euros were postponed a year.
Yeah. Well, the Olympics were also postponed to 2021.
They were. And so I know, you get to, especially as an athlete, you get to a certain point and you don't want, an illness or something like that to be, because you just feel like, I take such good care of my body. Yeah. I'm an elite athlete. And you're kidding me? COVID? You're kidding me? Meningitis? Mono? Athletes have been sidelined for mono. Because of mono, so that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
But oh well.
Yeah.
So I have to figure out. We were just talking about trench coats earlier today.
Yes.
I got to look in London for you a trench coat, because it might be a little less expensive there.
It probably will be, depending on where you go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to talk to my friend tomorrow about some of the things that we're going to do there. And I'm sure she will want to make sure I go and help find you. Because this will be after our birthdays, but still.
Yeah. Is it right before, you go to London, then you go to the U.S.?
Yes, I'm going to London the 24th through the 27th. I come home enough time to wash my laundry and get repacked for
and watch the
a 3-week
final
trip.
of the women's Euros.
Yeah, watch the final of the women's Euros and pack for my trip to East Coast of
and I get to be here all summer.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. He's happy I don't get to go on vacation.
I'm not happy about that. I mean, because I'm hoping that the reason you're not going is because you get a part in this play.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't done plays before. I'm not necessarily a big fan of just plays, like being in one. And the idea of it is kind of awful for me. But it's not like I have other opportunities to do right now. So. I think that you do. And
I really wish you wouldn't talk like that. I wish you would say, I got this chance, I'm going to audition for this.
I know you think that, but it's not always the best thing to just do whatever. It's the best thing to pick what's best for you.
I get that. But sometimes you don't have options.
Yeah.
And when you don't have options, it's, you do what can pay the rent.
Well, I don't get paid.
I understand that, but I'm just saying this adds something to your resume. This adds, experience. It gives you an opportunity, one, to meet people, two, to learn to interact with all these different cultures.
Well, I mean, there's also not really any actual, too much professional theater in Switzerland. And there's nothing I'd be able to do here.
So, well, you're going to have to figure something out.
I know.
Very soon.
I know you think you two seem to think I'm not trying.
Nope. I just said the other day, I said, I want you to know. I said this on Sunday too. I said, Brooke's applying for jobs. I said, Brooke is applying every week. I said, so you need to know that. So, it's not me. I know.
And genuinely, it is very tough to get hired right now.
It is
especially
tough
I
anywhere.
don't have skills.
If you don't, that's part of it.
If
and
you don't
also,
know people, if you don't have the exact skills they want, because they don't want to train people anymore.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of that, and a lot of, especially when people see that you have a college degree, they expect you, they certainly don't expect you to apply for a job cleaning tables.
Yeah.
And so they will, most of the time, just say, no, we're going to hire somebody.
Yeah, especially in Switzerland, like, they're not gonna...
And so it's really, really hard, to get it. And yes, it just seems like we're, at a place where you kind of got to know somebody.
I know, that's why I'd so much rather create stuff on, like, social media than even just apply for these jobs.
Yeah.
It's...
Well, still apply, just in case, because, you can't not.
Yeah.
But I agree. I mean, I wish, there was space for creators and for, yeah, I got to get back to my writing because I just said to myself this morning, I need to be writing every day.
Yeah.
I need to be every day. Because it's not gonna, once when I feel like it is not enough. That's just not enough. I got to do it more. And so that's kind of the way it goes. But we will get there. I really do have faith in that. I know there's so much we want to do. And I hope that that's what we get to do.
Yeah, I have, like, so many ideas of things to do that I can just never, like, create them. You know what I mean?
No, because I know you could create them. Just don't tell yourself that. Just go and do it. And if it doesn't look good, recreate again.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was going to say something about, like, I don't know, because this popped into my head about, like, historical fashion. I was going to give you a little fact.
Okay, give me a fact.
About how far makeup has come since the Victorian era. Which, that is, like, the late 1800s to 1901, right?
Okay.
Because that's when Queen Victoria was Queen of England. They used to use lead paint for their face. Actually, this predates the Victorian era. This goes back to the Georgian era, where they used to use, like, lead in their makeup. And they used to drink arsenic to make their skin paler.
Yes.
And in the Georgian era, they would, I think, they would eat, like, dead mice to make their cheeks puffy. They would put cork in their mouths to make their cheeks puffier also. And, like, it was just, makeup back in the day was so gross.
It does sound very gross. And I have to say, that's something, one thing that when I was younger, I know obviously you guys can see me, you can tell it's not my thing anymore. But when I was younger, I loved my makeup. Well, one thing, again, it was because it's something I could afford to, I could afford the cheap accessories, and I was so lucky because my sister cannot, she has to wear pure gold or, she gets terrible infections.
Is she allergic to nickel?
I assume so. We assume so. And so, but I could wear the cheap stuff and never, ever have a problem. So, I was the lucky one on that. So I bought lots of cheap jewelry and I bought, inexpensive makeup. But the one thing I always spent money on was my skincare routine. And I was very vigilant with my skincare routine. And you know when it stopped. When somebody didn't want me spending money on that, it was like, God, is it really that expensive? Yeah. And I can remember saying, well, I could just not do that. Yeah. And that was stupid of me.
Yeah, no, you should take care of your skin.
Yeah.
Starting when you're younger, because you'll regret it later.
Another PSA from us. Yeah, definitely take care of your skin. Don't go to bed in your makeup, please.
Yeah, I did say that on the skincare.
Yeah. Oh, good. Take care of your skin because it is your largest organ. I know we already said that too. It is your largest organ, and and it's not necessary. I mean, for some of us, it absolutely is. We don't want to look old, and we want to, and of course, we want to feel young and feel pretty. But I don't know you pretty. That's a good book. That's the one we should have put up in the back. It's for me, for certain, it is because I feel better about myself. And so that's why I make sure I'm trying to take better care of my skin. And when I want to wear makeup, I wear makeup.
I know. Well, I thought I talked about this. Or at least I was talking to you about that. So I like putting makeup on because it's really relaxing for me.
I can remember
It's kind
that.
of like
I remember
painting.
that. Yeah.
So like, because there's the mind and body workout on the Apple Watch, and sometimes I'll turn that on when I'm doing my
Yeah,
makeup.
I can see that because I can remember feeling, yeah, it was a mindful experience for me. It was, therapeutic
Because
for
you
me
have
to
to
put my makeup
focus.
on. Absolutely, you
Too.
do. Yeah.
So it is. Yeah, it's really nice. And I'm getting really good at it. So.
Well, I'm really kind of, I'm ready to get back to having the fashion of a wine glass in my hand with real wine in it. I'm kind
You
of,
gotta go to the
kind of tired
doctor.
of the alcohol free and the sugar, no sugar. I'm kind of, yeah. I'm ready to get back to normal, what I would call normal. But we'll see. We'll just see when that happens. Well, I think we've said enough about well, a little bit. I'm sure we could do another episode on fashion because I'm sure there's lots more to say. But we really appreciate you guys watching and listening.
We'll be back next week with a new bottle of wine and a new topic. In the meantime, if you want to join the conversation, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Wine Together Pod. Join our Facebook group, Wine Together Podcast. And if you don't want to miss out on our regular weekly episodes along with all our bonus content, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as liking, subscribing, and commenting on our YouTube, Wine Together Podcast.